So I'm a poet. I'm a writer. I guess I should start with my name. My name is Marcus Gift. I am a poet. I am a writer. I am a performer. I am an event producer, and I am soon to be author. What drew me to all of these art forms? I guess one would be writing, and the other would be writing, performing, and then event producing. I'll start with writing. Writing is for me a way to release some of the overwhelming thoughts in my head because I think a lot. I am constantly overthinking, um, and it's difficult for me to share my emotions, or has been in the past. And writing was one way of doing that, and releasing some of the um, like that ball of activity in my brain, and kind of like undoing it a little bit. Um, I think that's how it started, and it was also just a creative thing to do. Like it just felt nice. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but putting pen to paper and like seeing what you can come up with, some rhymes, some metaphors, some similes, um, imagery, painting a whole picture, whether it's your experience or someone else's or a made up experience. It was dope, to start doing that and to see the level of progression as I went, how much better I got over the years, and just kind of measuring myself today versus myself when I started in 2000 and I think I started writing in 2005 or six. Um, so yeah, and then event producing. I've always really enjoyed um, thinking about something and then seeing it come to life. Um, it was by accident. I think the very first event I ever helped organize was a book sale at my school back in New York City. And it wasn't even like I helped out. I was voluntold by the teachers. Um, and but I kind of liked it. I remember liking like the experience and kind of like putting the books up in a certain way, lining up the library in such a way where like um, it was intuitive for people to just know where to go. It was like a little maze. Um, Fast forward from there, I think I didn't do any event producing until 2012, or no, 2009, I think it was, or 2010, something like that. And I really enjoyed that process. And I've dabbled and dabbled in event producing since then until now, Pieces of Us being the full time event that I produce on a monthly basis for a little over a year now. We started in 2022 August. So it's been fun, stressful, a lot of work, but fun. Performing poetry has always been tricky for me because I struggle with being extremely vulnerable. Like I feel like when you write a piece, um, the energy with which you wrote it, you owe it to that piece to display that energy when you're on stage, or whatever the energy of the piece is giving. So when I first started, it was difficult for me to speak about heartbreak, um, and like really bring myself back to the feelings and the emotion and the time in which I was writing that and display that in front of a bunch of strangers. But over time, you get to understand that one, it's your world when you're up there, um, and you do with it what you want. And it is important to um, let go of some of that ego that holds you back from being able to just um, tap into your emotions and tap into that vulnerability. And it's also very freeing. Um, there's a lot of power that comes with having that much um, freedom to control over your emotions and over your performances, and relatability, connecting with someone in the room or connecting your piece with someone in the room. It's a good question. Um, So maybe I'll start with my ritual, or my process for writing for performance purposes. Um, there are some pieces I never go in with the intention of like what this piece is going to be, whether it's just for myself, whether it's for my book, whether it's for performance. I just kind of I write off of two very specific things. Like my writing is triggered either by a melody, a sound, or by a word, a lyric, usually in a song, or even if I'm watching an interview of some sort and like someone says a phrase or a sentence very key, and I hear it and I'm like that just like starts ringing a bunch of bells in my head. Um, Typically in the past when I've actioned that bell, I will be there from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. and I don't leave until the piece is done because it feels like, and I think I've had this conversation with someone before. I think it might have been Maya, where I was explaining that it feels like the piece has to be birthed. Like I cannot exit the space until the piece is birthed. Um, and the space is really important too because um, when I'm in like my creative element, it feels like all the juices are flowing and like I'm tapping like into like all the crevices of the room, like the corner there, the crease in the floorboard there. Like it just feels like everything is just downloading. So if I move, if it's in the same vicinity, cool, I can still get back into it. But if I move and like a couple of like half an hour, 2 hours go by and I don't get right back to it, it's difficult to tap back in, but usually I can. Um, so I don't actually make a distinction about whether or not a piece is just kind of like releasing or if it's for performances. Usually it's to release, and then I determine once it's done whether or not I should perform this because some of them are very uh, they're very much they're the types of poems you read, not necessarily the ones that you should hear the artist perform. I have poems in my book that are meant to live in the book for you to read, for you to interpret the way you need to not be influenced by my performance. Um, and that's just what it is. And then there are others that I'm like, no, these need to actually be spoken and shared. Like my poem to my unborn, um, which was birthed because of the death of Philando Castile, the murder of Philando Castile in 2017, with his daughter in the back seat and his partner in the passenger, and just what that was and how that was broadcasted around the world, and even like how his daughter, um, videos came out later of his daughter essentially comforting the mother and saying it'll be okay, mom. And I think at the time she might have been maybe like 3, 4, something like that, very young. And to like her mom is just losing her mind, and the daughter, young daughter, is just comforting her like that. It broke my heart. So sometimes pieces get birthed. Um, I would say out of necessity because it was unbearable. So that's the writing element. And when I'm like I said, when I'm in my creative bag, like I will use Google like no other. Like oftentimes I'll have words in my head and I'm like, I need a synonym for this. This is not it. And I'll look up, say, blue synonym, and then like it'll just Google will do its thing for me. I use a lot of uh, I like a lot of imagery in my wording or my writing rather. So oftentimes I'll be writing um, like I'll write words or sentences or paragraphs. I'll leave them to the side, and then I'll just like have a bunch of other words that like make sense or that I think I may want to use to the side. I might use Google as well to help me with words that are idioms or whatever else. Um, and then from there, I kind of construct it all together because for me, imagery is very important. I want to feel like by the time the poem is done, I have taken your hand gently and I have walked you through my emotions from start to finish. And by the time the poem is done, you feel like you were me while you were digesting or consuming the piece. And to me, that's the truest form of poetry. Um, it 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 doesn't resonate with me if it doesn't feel like you've really like poured your soul or a piece of your soul into it. Then the same kind of applies for event production. I always start with the perspective of the audience members. What do they want to see? How do I want them to feel? What is the takeaway from this event? Um, and what is important? What is like at the center of like what is the spirit of the event? And then how do we go about making everyone feel that way? Whether starting with the audience members, but then we quickly progress to like if there's artists that are involved, making sure the artists are taken care of. because that's equally as important. Your event is only as successful as the artists who get up on that stage. If your event is artistry centered, who get up on that stage and really give themselves. Um, so a lot of the work behind the scenes is done to make sure they have all the necessary information. They are provided with as much support as possible leading up to it, made to feel extremely comfortable. We take care of them, um, the artists, and then from there, we just encourage them as soon as it's their time to go up to just leave it all out there and bare their soul. And I think it works great because in doing that, you get the chance to, like, you set the tone for the audience right off the top of the event, so people know what to expect. You set the expectations, you set like the boundaries, if you will, of like, all right, these are kind of the things that we would invite you to reflect on as you're digesting the pieces or consuming the pieces, while people are up here. Leave everything else to the side, focus on this, engage with this, and don't feel shy to go and have a conversation during the breaks and chat with them and all that stuff. So Pieces of Us, we have a great team. A lot of people who dedicate countless hours to making this thing what it is, and yeah, it's one of the more beautiful experiences of my life, because as soon as one is done, I get to experience it all over again the next month, um, and meet a lot of incredibly talented and gifted artists. I've made a lot of great friends, made a lot of great connections through this platform. um, People who are just willing to help because they believe in what you do. And to me, I always struggle with that because I'm like, I have some control issues and a little bit of trust issues, and I always think, what do you want in the end? Like, why are you helping me? What's the end goal? What is the agenda here? What's like the play that I don't see? And I've had to accept that no, people there are some people who are just really good hearted, who just want to help because they believe in you, they believe in what you've got going on, and they want to support however they can. Um, and to me, like, I have no words to express how much gratitude and how humbled I am whenever that happens, because it's happened countless times with Pieces of Us. um and just how much in awe I am every time of like the human kindness. So yeah. So writing and performing, actually no, I'll start with production, and just like how busy my life is. I'm someone who is constantly hustling. I have a million and one hustles. Some say that I need to be managed, because I take on a lot, but I'm also very reflective. I don't take on things that I don't think I can achieve or that I can. If I tie my name to something, it is incredibly important to me that it doesn't fall to the wayside. And there's no negativity attached to it. Like, I will give my all if I think I can give my all, and now I don't have a problem saying no. Initially, when I started event producing, like about a decade ago, if not more, um, I would take on a lot and I would do everything because, one, I'm super paranoid, that everything that will go wrong, that can go wrong, will go wrong, and two, um, I have trust issues. I mentioned that earlier. So delegating for me has always been difficult. Um, but in event producing and like all the other hustles and my 9 to 5, because I have a full-time job, believe it or not. Piece of Us is a full-time job too, but I have a full-time job, and I think most artists do. And um, in those hustles and all of that go go go, I don't often get the chance to slow down and like have a conversation with Marcus. Like, Axel the man doesn't often have a chance to um, log out and let Marcus the poet log in, or Marcus the artist, um, the writer, because I don't paint, and like, my artistry is limited to just pen to paper. I could sing in the shower though, but yeah. So when I do get the chance to engage in that way, um, and actually like put event production, logistics, um, like management of a team, and like thinking through all the minute details, and like trying to instill any like, how do I organize and orchestrate things so that I get this particular emotion out of you. When I put all that overthinking to the side and I can just engage as an artist, um, it's it's so um, it's so freeing because um, as the hustle and bustle of life is ongoing, you get hit left and right with different things, and I don't often give myself enough time to process them, or to really even like engage with the emotion, understand it, reflect on it. Oftentimes, like I'll my brain works extremely fast, so like I'll think about the emotion, I'll think of three, four, five different things of like how I could go about it, and then like I'll just go. But it's so important to just slow down and process. And so in writing, I get to do that. So whether I'm writing about love, heartbreak, introspection, which is like my middle name at this point, and uh, and any other topics, like I've written about abortion, I've written about um, a lot of touchier subjects. I always get the chance to just deep dive on an emotional state, or um, like what this must feel like on this side or on that side, or to me, if it's about me specifically. I get the chance to like dissect the emotion and like remove all the layers of ego and like narcissism and like, you know, um, self defense mechanisms and whatever else, and just like look at what it is raw and really like confront that. Um, and it creates an opportunity for growth. So I think that's what it does. My writing definitely acts as a form of therapy just for me to be able to pull some of those emotions that I typically tend to cast away momentarily to deal with other stuff. It lets me engage with those emotions and it allows me to grow, and improve on myself every day. Like I'm still very much an imperfect being. I think I still have so much growing to do. But I think I have a lot of really strong human connections with others today because of my writing, because I have allowed myself to do the work through the writing, but also I like therapy helps too. But um, writing is actually for me a way to slow the world around down and just focus on the thing. And I usually really enjoy writing in places where there's a lot of movement and activity. Like Starbucks is like there's a particular Starbucks in the city that they know my name, like I'm there. I've spent a lot of time there, but I like it because there's so much activity, and I like to feel still in the chaos. Like I really enjoy feeling like just thinking all these little things and thoughts and like reflecting and looking and observing, and life is just happening around me. um, and to me that's extremely therapeutic because I'm usually the part of the chaos. In those moments I stand still. So obviously when I first started writing, so I'm 30 now. When I started writing I was like, I don't know, I must have been like 10 or 11, something like that. And funny enough, uh, through the years of writing, I found out like maybe like 2 years ago that my dad was also a poet. That he also wrote a lot of poetry. He had a notebook of poetry filled with poetry, just like me. He wrote all throughout his college years, and then I think someone stole it or he lost it or something. So, but it was interesting to hear that he used to write a lot. Um, and you know, in reflecting on how far I've come from like one of my first things that I've ever written in life was a remix to Obama, sorry, a remix to a Millie by Lil Wayne, and I called it Obama, Obama, Obama. It was so trash. I will never release that anywhere. But over time, like it was great to see the evolution of removing the surface level stuff and really deep diving. Like some of my poems, I go back and I read, I'm like, damn, like you were going through it, my G. Like you were really like, you know, and those moments are really, it almost feels like an outer body experience because like you get to see the work from like 2016, then you see something that you've written in the same topic now, and you see the evolution, but you also see like the desire to continue to grow. Like there's a couple of words or like sentences in the way that they're structured in 2016 that in 2023 resonate differently, and you see that you see the same or similar sentence or like similar vein, but just illustrated differently. Um, so that's really dope to see that progression, and also even performing like I'm a lot less stressed when I get up on stage. Obviously, I think part of that is due to the volume of like activity I have with Pieces of Us and being in front of a camera, in front of an audience on stage, and communicating all evening to strangers in a room who now feel like family. But that is exactly how I feel when I get up there. I feel like this is it is my world, but this is a family, and I'm like it's on me to communicate something to you that you may not have either been able to communicate yourself. You didn't know that you needed to hear it, that you've been struggling to hear, or even just to like acknowledge, or a perspective that you never considered. So that evolution has been really dope too, because even in the prep is different. Like I'm someone who likes to memorize my poems so I can have free use of my hands, as you probably noticed throughout all this interview, a lot of hand gestures. But um, I really enjoy like um, painting a full picture with not just my words, but with my body, right? My hands, my movements, like how where I move on the stage, left or right. If I'm sitting down, I'm sitting down, but I'm still active. So um, yeah, that's gotten a lot easier. But something that I've always struggled with in in just like the duality of me, Marcus and Axel, is um, I've always been so business driven, and I've always felt shame or guilt that I've never been able to allocate as much time to Marcus as I do to Axel, the business, the entrepreneur man. Um, but that's what Pieces of Us represents. Pieces of Us for me is a perfect marriage of creativity and businessman altogether, because we are a for-profit organization. But in being for profit, you have to really think through you have to think from a lens of a startup and think through like why you're doing this, who you are doing this for, and um, ultimately what do you hope to achieve at the end of the road, or what is your plan? And in planning things out every month, dealing with 9 different artists since we've started on a monthly basis, um, having themes that guide the evening, and allow us to also kind of like structure the episode around like performers are placed strategically around a theme. So if you're used to writing about activism, I'm not gonna place you in a in a theme that has to do with like DTF down to feel. You know what I mean? Like it has to make sense. So and sorry, that's a name of an episode that we had a little while ago, exploring just like the relationship between people, interpersonal relationships, romantic, sexual, otherwise. Um, but yeah, so it really represents a perfect marriage where now I can really allow myself to get creative with the production of the episode, um, engage with the other artists and learn from them. There's so much I've learned from different artists, how they perform, how they even like in I've been inspired by so many of the artists as well, which also speaks to the growth of the writing. Like I've heard different things at Pieces of Us episodes, or like I've witnessed certain things, and I'm just like stank face, completely shaking my head. I'm taking down a quick note, like they said this one thing that triggered my brain into like thinking about X, Y, or Z. So um, yeah, the growth has been great to see that I've finally been able to kind of do this with Axel and Marcus. I still think I neglect Marcus a little bit, um, but at least it's one step forward in a direction where one day there can be some kind of like symbiotic relationship between Axel and Marcus. I guess one of the main challenges is always feeling like an imposter. Like I think imposter syndrome is so common amongst artists. Um, Oftentimes, I don't feel qualified to write on certain topics. Like there are certain topics like I know when I'm in my bag, I'm in my bag. Like love, relationship, poems, like I'm in my bag. those I feel very qualified, maybe overqualified with all my experiences. But sometimes when I write about like um, being the existence of a black person, when I write about, I've written about abortion from the perspective of the aborted child, and I'm sorry if that triggers anyone. Um, I've written about autism. Like, I see things, I read, I reflect, and then I if I feel called to write about it, I let myself go. But in doing so, I'm always constantly thinking like, am I really qualified to write on this? Like, who am I really to speak on this? Um, and that's why I always try to approach it from a very respectful manner. Sometimes it might feel a bit restrictive in my artistry because I'm trying to, if this were to ever go out or come out, how will I want someone who is directly impacted to feel about this? So that's part of the process, the thinking process. Um, so there's maybe a bit of restriction that comes with that, but I think it definitely presents a positive challenge too because it has pushed me to get more creative with how I approach the topics um, in such a way where I'm not offending anyone, but I'm also staying true to my artistry. Um, I think too that another limitation or challenge with Pieces of Us, specifically event production as a whole, is um, it remains like thinking through the event in a way that makes sense for everyone who is in attendance, um, not just because it's a cool thing to do running an event, but because you actually care. You care about the takeaway, you care about what people feel, you care about the experience of everyone in the room, you care about the little details because that's what makes a difference. It's the attention that you bring to humanizing the experience. Um, and so that's been a challenge on a monthly basis is all right, last episode was dope. How do we top that or how do we reproduce that? So I've had to learn to relinquish some control, which is very difficult for me because I am a very complex man. But I'm on doing some of that in therapy, and actually therapy has been really helpful too in confronting some challenges. Like one of the main challenges in event production is because I have trust issues, because I have a hard time delegating, I often never let people just do the things they say they will do. I will always kind of like keep a side eye, like, are you gonna meet this deadline? Um, and I really, really, really am working hard to undo that because people have challenges. Like their life is real. Like people go through so much, and communication might come easy for me, but it might not come easy for you. And I have to learn to accept that, especially in the position I'm in at with Pieces of Us because of the volume of people I deal with on a monthly basis. Um, I always have to approach the engagement with a little less, not hostility, because I'm never a hostile man, but a little less, okay, go, 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 go. And a bit more like, how are you? How are you feeling? How's your mental? Where are you at today? Is there anything I can do to help you? Because it's important. It's super important, and that's how you continuously get the best out of people. That's how you continuously get the best out of yourself. You continue to improve on your way of communicating and also just engaging. And also, it helps and it translates into the writing because now I have a full conversation with myself before I touch the pen. What am I like? I used to do it, but now I do it with more intention. What am I really trying to communicate here? And like before I even like start structuring the poem, I'll write some stuff down and like really just allow myself to know how I feel, like be present in the moment and understand what it is I'm trying to accomplish. So in terms of challenges, it's it's been difficult undoing some of the ways in which I was taught to behave or some of the ways in which I've always understood leadership or success or um, just like project management, project leadership. I've watched a lot of people in my life who were in leadership positions uh, rule. It's not the right word, but I can't think of anything else. Google synonyms for rule. Um, I like just lead in ways that I found to be similar or that I've picked up on without even realizing. And some of that in therapy has been helping. And just like people are not doing things to you. It's not about you. You're not the center of the universe. Like relax. So I'm trying to relax. So I started university when I was 15 years old, but I'm an October baby. So I started in September, and then I turned 16 in October. And when I came to Ottawa, I have family members here, but like my direct parents weren't here, right? So for the better part of the last 15 years of my life, I've pretty much I say I've grown up alone, but in the sense of like having like my actual parents nearby to like guide me through life. I've had a lot of great family members contribute to the man I am today. But I think that a lot of the growth that I've had to do has been more or less self-taught through all the trials and all the tribulations, um, and still ongoing to this day. But um, something I am very proud of is the fact that I have found my way to some form of self-expression. Forget artistic, some form of self-expression, because growing up in New York City, which I grew up in New York City all my life. I did all my schooling there. So I don't know much of Benin, West Africa, where I'm actually from, like in terms of like living there. Um, but in growing up in New York City, and being around a lot of different black men, you don't see a lot of black men have the like develop the ability for self-expression in by way of artistry. They obviously there's a lot of rappers and stuff in New York City, so them aside, but there's a lot of chaos that come with being a black person already, in just how the world interacts with you, and just black men specifically too. A lot of a lot of a lot of challenges. So, um, I'm proud of the fact that I have been able to find my way to the pen, and able to lay down how I feel, taught myself to slow down and reflect and really just take however long it needs to take to understand what it is I'm feeling, to remove the layers, um, and to just undo some of that ego to get to the truth, or like at least the source of what it is I'm feeling, and to put it into a book format that has been ongoing for a few years now. I'm going to finish it soon. I keep saying that every year. Um, to put that in a book format and to really be working on it, and like actually having all intentions of releasing it, and looking very much forward to the day it's released. I'm super proud of that. Um, very proud of the fact that I've also made uh, strides within the artistic space in the last year and change here in Ottawa. The team at Pieces of Us, we've done so much work with just giving people a platform for self-expression, but also giving um, those who need it a home to come and like experience different things on a monthly basis, engage with people who are also in the space, feeling some of the same things or other different things, but just not feel alone in what they're feeling, and how they're um, how the world is interacting with them and how they're interacting with the world. It's a safe space, and it's a space that people have really grown to value and cherish in the community in the last year. And it happened very rapidly. I didn't expect it to go like that, that quickly. And like I said at the beginning of this interview, people are just genuinely, like, you meet a lot of genuinely good people, a lot of really genuine human beings who are trying to just contribute however they can without any agenda. They don't want credit, they don't want a shout out, they don't want money, they don't want clout. They just want to help support because they believe in what you do. Um, and that to me is one of the other successes, is building a platform where people feel invested enough to not just contribute financially, not just contribute by way of like sharing their art, but also contribute just like resource, access. Um, I have people who I know if I call them today, I say I need XYZ, done deal. They don't even need to hear the rest. Um, so and just developing it from you know the an untra- a non-traditional standpoint because most platforms that I'm aware of that are of an artistic background or artistically inclined um, or either nonprofit or really have like financial support from grants and whatever else. We don't have that. We just started kind of like cowboy hat, put yourself in the ring and see what happens, bootstrap it, and it's been rewarding to see the the the, the progress, the support, the love, and just a genuine like care for the platform. Like people will go out of their way and tell me, "Hey, I thought about this person would be a great addition to the platform, to your team, to this." Like DMs about a bunch of different. Oh, look, this idea here would be really cool. I thought of you. So it's really dope, man. It's humbling beyond words. I'm someone who really struggles with receiving praise. So when people tell me how impressed they are, or like how happy they are, or how much they love what I'm doing, I just stand there awkwardly. But then I reflect on it later, and I'm like, damn, bro, a brother could cry. Um, so yeah, those are definitely some successes that I think, if it all were to end today, knock on wood, right, I would be happy knowing that this is where it has led me. This is a good question. If I'm to answer very honestly, I don't know that I have a balance right now simply because I don't engage enough actively with Marcus to like for the purposes of self. Um, I'm more so engaging with Marcus by way of like creating and producing pieces of us. Like I consult with Marcus and then I let Axel lead for Piece of Us. And I know this might sound really weird that I'm talking about myself in these ways, but that's really how it goes in my brain. Um, and yeah, like I think there's not a balance right now simply because the volume of work that is Pieces of Us on a monthly basis. Um, so sorry if you were looking for a deep spiritually like enlightening response. I don't have that. But what I do have is it it still it still hits very much home when the clock hits 7:30. We get up on that stage and we start the night, and we get to witness nine different artists do their thing. The vendors often are also artists themselves, so that's 10. Whether they're chefs, whether they are painters, whether they own a products like self-care products that they have handcrafted, they are artists themselves too. So just watching the ecosystem that is Pieces of Us during that evening, how everyone kind of like is interacting with each other, like it's such a beautiful experience, like that many humans can amass in one space, and only thing that matters is having a good time, is enjoying yourself, being present in the moment, engaging with the artistry, and not being afraid to um, lead with your emotions in the evening. It's so beautiful. I'm like I said, I'm incredibly privileged to experience it every single month. Finish one, the very next day, oh, get to do it all over again. It sounds beautiful. It's a lot of work, a lot of stress, but it is beautiful when it all comes together at the end of the month. And you get to just see it. Like you see new faces, you see old faces. You have a lot of like I call them POU, Pieces of Us, POU alumni, like the performers that come back who yeah, who just want to like be in the room. We've had performers who hit us up who want to participate in other ways. So the balance, the like I, it fills my cup and I feel restored once the evening comes together. Leading up to it's hectic, it's chaotic, but once the evening comes together and you watch it unfold, it really is cathartic. Like it's dope. Like it's so dope. Um, So once I find a better kind of like we get like a balance going. We put some systems in place for POU to run itself more or less, and I get to really engage with Marcus some more. I'll be back. I'll answer that question properly. So Marcus, uh, the writer, I have witnessed it a few times where whether it's a friend or people I don't know cry when I've like performed or they read something of mine. Um, and it's always super bizarre. Like it's a bizarre feeling because you're like, damn. Like at the same time, it's like, yo, go pick up yourself. Like, no, tap yourself on the back. You made someone feel that, like an emotion that powerful. But at the same time, it's also like, damn. Like I I did that? Like really? Like I don't even think I'm that nice. So it's a weird like dynamic to be in. Obviously at the same time you're trying to like do you need a Kleenex? You're trying to give a hug, like you're trying to figure out what's up. Um so I know for sure because I've witnessed it. Also because I have this despite the moments of imposter syndrome, um I have those moments of like absolute certainty that I am really him when it comes to certain pieces and certain topics because I'm not afraid to just go. Like I'll go wherever the emotion takes me. I'll go as deep as required. I will take a break from the piece and come back to it when I feel that I have more capacity to really give it my all, and I'm not like um, cheating it in any way. Even some of the pieces I've written, like this year, like I think one piece I was like, this is dope, but like it still feels surface because of the way like the double entendres and all that worked out. It was cool, but it's like it's cool. Like you could do a little bit better. You have done better. Um, but yeah, so that's how I know for sure for Marcus and for Axel, for Pieces of Us. Um, same thing. People have cried. People will go and hug performers during the breaks and tell them how much they love them, how much they don't know what they did to them. I've had people come up to me and tell me, "Yo, this performance here, like I came in, experienced, like I was beefing with a friend, and my perspective was one thing. I experienced that discussion, that performance, and it's allowed me to see it completely differently. And I'm about to go text my friend to apologize. So like there are those moments, and also the one moment that I remember quite vividly was recently when I actually performed for the first time on this platform, and a girl by the name of Olivia was standing there and being very much an auntie, a proud auntie, and was telling the whole room, "That's my friend, y'all," just very loud, but that is Olivia, and I love her very much for that. But yeah, it's those moments, those things that make me that those are the that's the fuel that keeps me going. It allows me to just know that there's a purpose, you are doing something right, and even when it all feels chaotic, just keep going because there's a deeper purpose here, and people will constantly remind you, even in those moments where I'm like I don't really know what more how to do this better. Like Pieces of Us is dope, and this piece is dope. This poem that I'm writing is dope, but like how do I make it better? How do I improve on it? How do I make sure it hits, it resonates? Somehow, some way, God will send you a sign. Someone texting me, or like sending a message or a call, or you just go back to like a random memory that you've completely forgotten about in the shower, minding your business, and it just pops up like, oh damn, yeah, no, that's true. And it's just a constant reminder that like, no, it's okay to it's okay to be good. It's okay to be great. It's okay to be excellent and to excel in something. Especially when the masses are telling you, you're not even telling yourself. So yeah. Yeah, next year I want to release my book. I absolutely need to release my book. I have been saying that forever, but I will take it a lot more seriously next year. I will revisit this interview at the same time next year to see where I'm at with it. Um, and I think Olivia will too. But I need to finish my book because I think in the what is it called, the preface of the book, I think one of the things that I have in there right now, which is a question that often has come up in the past. People have asked me like, "Why do you write this? Why are you writing this book? Like, what's the purpose of this book?" Um, and without hesitation, my answer has always been maybe a little arrogantly to save another soul, because I know where I have been at, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Like there are moments where I felt completely down. Um, I wouldn't say broken because I think that would be a disservice to those who have felt that way. But I have felt, very low points in my life, very a lot of uncertainty, a lot of self doubt. So to save a soul, because feeling alone sucks, and no one should ever have to go through that. Especially we're a planet with over 7 billion people. So I know alone means more than the physical, and um, that's why I'm writing this book, and that's why to me it's important that it comes out and I stop procrastinating. But I also believe in the timing of things always being right, and so I feel like if I haven't released it since I started it in 2018, I don't even care to do any kind of like market. Like I just want to let it out and just release it. And whoever picks it up that needs it, that's all I'm doing it for. And in Pieces of Us, there is there's a lot happening with the progression of Pieces of Us right now. We have a lot of interest from various parties who are looking to work with us. Um, I will say that we are going to continue to um, be very intentional with how we curate every event. We will also likely have external curators come onto the platform and curate an episode. We have had some expression of interest that way, so that'll be really cool to see what people come up with, um, and releasing some of that control in that some of the artists have expressed interest in hosting the night, co-hosting, and whatever else. So it'll be really cool to see the progression of the platform and what others are bringing to it, because we know what we bring to it as an organization or as an organizing party or team, but we have yet to see what it might look like if we just allow that person, that other creative, to come and sprinkle a little bit of their creativity in the fold. So very much looking forward to that. Very excited to see what people come up with, because as much as Pieces of Us is a platform that is curated by us, it is very much for y'all. It's for everyone else, and that wouldn't be true if we didn't allow others to come into the fold and contribute to it, um, and to allow it to go from just crawling to actually walking to eventually running. So yeah, that's a great question. I have so many thoughts. Um, the first thing is what you have to say matters. Like that's the first thing that's like jumping out at me. Um, because we need more voices. We need more voices that have something to actually say. And that's not a shot at anyone. It's just there are so many people with opinions and with everyone has a phone today, right? So everyone has the ability to express themselves at a moment's notice. And I heard a really interesting quote one day from, I forget, this very famous poet. I forget his name right now. It escapes me. But he said something like, I can see how God gave us a lot of poetry, but not many poets. And I heard that and I was just like, because um, I think a lot of people write just for themselves, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people write from the perspective of this is how I feel, but I really want to have someone else who might be going through something similar, who doesn't know how to express themselves, be if ever they stumble on this, be able to resonate with this and help them in some way, shape, or form. The gift that God has given me to write, I can pay that forward by writing with the intention of like reaching out to someone else, and holding onto their hands and reminding them that they're not alone. So, if you're trying to use art as a form of therapy, whether it's poetry, whether it's painting, whether it's just playing an instrument, because people like me write off of melodies and sounds, and it's and like I believe every sound has an emotion that is attached to it. Um, just do it. Like don't don't hold yourself to any standards that anyone else you might see your favorite artist or your favorite this, and you're comparing yourself. J. Cole is like top two my favorite artists, and he was he had he I think it was Nas or something that he was saying that he was always trying to mimic. I can't remember who, but he said he was at the beginning of his career he was trying to like sound like this person until he found his own sound and just realized no, it's okay to just be me. Um, so that's what I would say. Like it's okay to be you. It's okay for you to. It's okay to feel. It is okay to feel. A lot of people won't tell you that, but it is okay to feel, and it's even more okay to feel negative emotions and to process them and to understand what they are for the purposes of self reflection, but also growth, because there's a lot of growth in pain. There's a lot of growth in sorrow if you allow it to be. I know Jada Pinkett Smith is very much a controversial figure right now, but she said something in an interview that I recently watched where she said something along the lines of, and I'm going to butcher this, um, there is always an opportunity for love, for pain, for growth in pain, or something like that. You just have to be ready when the door opens itself up and accept it. Um, and that's what I think everyone who was looking to use uh, artistry as a form of therapy should remember it. You have a voice, use it. It is important. You have something to say, communicate it. Don't feel compelled to write this way or sing that way or present yourself in the matter. You are enough. Present yourself exactly how you want others to see you, not because you think it's the cool thing to do or it might resonate better or whatever else. Just present yourself as you, and somewhere, someone, somehow will find that, and it will make all the sense in the world for them why in that moment they were meant to find you and your art. So just do it. Oh my goodness. All right. Pow. That's my traditional thing to do in all my Pieces of Us videos. If you have seen it, I know it's kind of corny, but just indulge me. It's Axel, aka Marcus Gift, and this has been a dope experience. Shout out to In Bloom Space, and shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Art as Therapy, the project. It's been super helpful for me to just be able to express myself. I don't often get to do this, so thank you for roping me in, and hope you guys enjoy everything that this platform has to offer.